We decided to start the 2018 expedition year off with a trip close to town, Helm Bay Cabin. Helm Bay has a large two-room cabin so that we could bring both boys and girls, as well as plenty of hiking trails. In fact, some of those trails led to the old gold mining areas, so we had our history lesson ready to go, as well as our gold pans, and we set off for Helm Bay. Our advanced group reached the cabin, started packing in gear, when we read the following sign: habituated bear in area. A brown bear has been frequenting the area and damaged the cabin. The bear entered the cabin, and despite efforts, the bear has not been located or dispatched. Please exercise due caution by securely storing all attractants and have some method of bear defense. We looked at the log entry for the cabin, and sure enough, the day before, a group had spotted a juvenile brown bear near the cabin. After seeing paw prints around the window frames, we decided to cancel the trip and send the kids home. The Alaska Island Adventures Camp, located near Lancaster Cove in Cholmondeley Sound on the east coast of Prince of Wales Island, is where the Tribal Scholars Program students called home for 5 days in August. And as soon as the group arrived and stowed their gear, it was time to learn how to bait and set shrimp pots. Once everything was cleaned up, everyone grabbed their life jacket and headed to the boat for the safety meeting. Once briefed, we were off.
About timing too. We should have pulled them last night, but we also were doing other things, so we couldn't get to them. So when you bait them up, you got to remember
Neutral.
how much bait you threw in there. Jaden's going to be grabbing a buoy, hooking it up to the polar.
Not lose any shrimp. All right, Carol, what are you doing?
I found a little hair thing. So anyway, what we're doing is we're rinsing it all out to make sure we have not like the legs. We don't want these on because they can ruin it. So what we're doing is we're going through them, pulling off the legs, and then throwing them out. And then basically we clean them and check them to see if they are good to put in the bags. And you don't want to have any of the legs because it will ruin the batch.
One of the hallmarks of these Tribal Scholars expeditions is learning the responsibility of being the one providing for your family. Processing the catch is a very important part of this process, ensuring that every crew share is the same, and having experts in this field teaching our Tribal Scholars students how to do this the right way is really high-level learning. And the best part is, the true assessment is the amount of seafood per crew share. So the more seafood you have, the better job you did.
Okay, what we're going to do here is Jaden is going to go over the safety things that he's learned about this vessel. He's already driving it perfectly. He just wants to review all of the safety things that we've been going over the past week, and I'll let him take over.
Yeah. Alright, so the life jackets are located right here and right here. And also these pads right here could be used as flotation devices. And if anyone ever falls over, you can toss them one of these pads right here, or one of these. And then you're going to want to toss them a rope right here. And if anything happens, you've got the channel 16 right here for the Coast Guard, and the distress button. And there's also a fire extinguisher under here, fire flotation device right here. And there's also a spotlight up here if you need one.
Sweet.
Yeah. And once you're when the captain's docking, you're gonna want to stay clear of the engine so we can keep a good eye on it. Yeah.
Eating excellent fresh food is also a very important part of camp life. My favorite meal that we prepared was when one morning a group went out and picked wild sea asparagus. Another group went out and caught and filleted a bunch of silver salmon. Then we took the salmon eggs, seared the sea asparagus with peppers and onions, and made a silver salmon omelet with sea asparagus greens on the side.
Later that afternoon, we went and explored Jacina Point, on the recommendation of area historian Fred Olson. Although we really didn't have a definite spot to go, we knew from a map we had that a Haida fort was near Pink Salmon Stream. We located the stream and took a small raft into the spot. Once on land, we immediately were drawn to two large circular pools that were connected by a small rock decline. These pools looked man-made, and in studying local history, we knew that Southeast Native peoples had used similar pools to help gather salmon during spawning. One of my favorite things about the Tribal Scholars program is when we do story time. Everyone is exhausted from fishing and exploring and full from dinner, so we get to sit together and listen to Peter or Stacy tell us the story.
This is a story called Revenge of the Pebbletown People, a raid on the Tlingit as told by Richard of the Middle Gittins to John R. Swanton. And this was edited by Charles Lillard and published in 1998. Condawas was going to make a potlatch in Masset. She owned 10 slaves, and she had 8 storehouses in the Kaigani country, which is Haida, part of Alaska, where we are now. And she owned a copper worth 10 young slaves. She intended to sell the copper for that price in the Tsimshian country. They offered her 9 slaves and an 8-fathom canoe. She said she would not part with her copper because there were not 10 slaves. So Condawas returned to Raven Creek. Later, as she was sailing north to House Point with the south wind, a squall drove the canoe into the Kaigani country. There some Tlingit, who were gathering seaweed, invited Condawas and her crew ashore. After these Tlingit had fed everyone, they killed them all. Then we went away to Cape Shacken, and by evening we could see North Island and then Red Bushes Point. While we were coasting along together, someone ahead of us shouted, "What warriors are those?" Then Ankusta shouted, "Those are warriors from Masset, low-class eagles of no account." And they came out from their concealment. They had new guns and 2 cartridge boxes apiece. And when we came around the point, the Masset people came down in a crowd. They had a Kaisun man living at Masset question us. They gave him the following directions. If you recognize them, ask them, "Is it you?" And if you do not know them, ask, "What warriors are you?" That was the way in which he questioned us. One of the eagles held a gun. 2 cartridge boxes hung from his side. They said he was a brave man. He said, "Tell me, Pebbletown people, what did the Tlingit do to the people of your family in former times? when the Tlingit formally beat them every time. Why do you do this? I could do something to you for your foolishness. You might be shot to pieces. And when he aimed his gun, he pointed it at us. His name was Stawat. And that day, when it was almost evening, we sailed by the long town of Skidegate. The Skidegate people came out in a crowd to watch us. We did not stop. They stood behind us watching. We spent that night at Waterhole on Maud Island. The wounded one in our canoe was still alive. And we started from there at night. Then we made a campfire on the inlet above Chat. From there we started very early to Kitgoro. At that time we sang a war song. We went into Kitgoro singing songs of victory. Hoo, 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 hoo. We sang songs of victory for many nights. The end. So this was told to the ethnologist John Swanton in the winter of 1900 by a man named Richard of the Middle Gittins or Pebbletown people in Haida Gwaii, Queen Charlotte Islands. So it's thought that this happened in the mid-1800s, where that group of Haida people came up to Alaska to take revenge on the Tlingit.
Getting our tribal scholar students out on the water is one of my favorite things to do as an educator. What we do and the assessments we create, they don't seem like work. It just seems like that's what you need to do because people are counting on you for survival. One of my favorite things about Alaska Island Adventures is how learning lessons can be found at any moment. For instance, I remember one night turning into an impromptu biology lesson on the eyes of a deepwater rockfish. Seeing how much light that could pass through that eye was amazing to see. It's that look you see when the kids work hard and they know that the grade isn't about a letter on a piece of paper. It's about being able to understand how to use math to convert numbers on a chart. About how the key is finding the bait fish. Because if you can find the bait fish, you can find the fish that follow them.
I really like how the staff at the camp helped to show how processing the catch was as important as getting it in the first place. We all pitched in and did our share, making sure that each portion was divided evenly. Then, prior to leaving, we did an inventory of everything we sent home.
Looking back now at 3 years of running tribal scholars expeditions, you really ask yourself, why did we start doing this and why did we start taking kids to remote sites? And to me, it's really having students arrive and have them live and learn a subsistence lifestyle and being able to provide for their families once they get back into town. Having them do things that they normally wouldn't do, getting them out of their comfort zone is really, what education should be about. And that's why These tribal scholars' expeditions are so important. The Tribal Scholars Program is truly how education should be. It's one-on-one mastery of content and knowledge. It's authentic assessment that is based in subsistence gathering. It's learning our history because it's right here in front of us and not in some book. It's getting kids to rely on each other and their group. In the end, Austin and I realized that these tribal scholars' trips weren't always about catching subsistence halibut. It was about the experience. It was about getting the kids out there and trying new things and experimenting with the skate to see what depth worked, what bait worked. And it was the best part, is seeing things that didn't work that well. In the end, the kids were so grateful that they got to experience something like that we all kind of forgot that we didn't really catch that much halibut. And even though that was kind of frustrating, we all left camp knowing that it was the experience together that mattered.
The weather got nice one day, so we decided to go out and film what it was like to set a smaller subsistence skate in a smaller boat. We looked at a couple of locations on the chart, picked the closest one to home but still legal to fish, and then set 5 hooks.
Closer and I could see color. I'm gonna probably have you stand right there. Oh no, dude, that's a big fish. That there is a big fish, guys. Got some, oh yeah, some yanks for sure. Whoa! All right, everybody, we got a big halibut here. It's gonna be a little tough. We got Austin shooting here. If you want, you can see him right there. All right, Austin, what I want you to do is you're fine. See him right there? Show everybody that nice little halibut. Okay, so what we're going to do is try to harpoon it. I have a hand on the line. I want to constantly keep pressure. You got it going? See, ladies and gentlemen, we got the harpoon tip in. Look at that beautiful fish fighting right there. Watch the harpoon. I'm taking that buoy down. He's taking our line out. We're just going to let him go for a little bit. Once you got that harpoon tip in, then you know you got him secure. Okay, and again, what we had to do, the reason why we set that camera down is I needed Austin's help. Right at first, we got that harpoon tip in, and then the fish, oh, there he goes again. Fish took off right away. So, boy, look at that. You see all that white down there? That's when people say if you see color, that's what they're talking about. All right, so we're going to let him fight a little bit longer here, and then we're going to pull him back in. You'll see them on board. Don't film that.
Yes, no.
All right, look at this. This is our second hook. Here we go, here we go. Again, what Austin and I looked for was just a rise in the surrounding area surrounded by sand. That was a big thing, and you have a lot of salmon coming out of rivers and stuff right now. And so what we thought was put this great bait that E.C. Phillips gave us and get it out there and see what we could see on this sandy bottom. And sure enough, boom, boom, right away. Big hit, especially because if you've been following us, we haven't had a lot of salmon or a lot of halibut hit us this summer. We did kind of early in the year and then nothing since. So Austin and I have been trying pretty hard, and boom, here we go. Oh yeah, there we go, guys. Big one. Okay. Oh yeah, big, big. Okay, so let's get our harpoon tip ready. Austin, just hold pressure right there. You got it? Just hold it real quick. Austin, what I'll have you do is just keep filming.
Okay.
When I say grab the line, you're going to grab the line with your left hand. Keep filming, okay?
Yep.
You ready?
The zoom keeps messing up.
I'll fix it.
It did.
Okay. You ready? I need you to grab this
Yep.
with your left hand.
Yep.
You got it. It's heavy.
Yep.
Okay.